Yes. Yes.
But like the comparison, like with me and some of the other guys.
So that'd be something neat to see, the Harris Centers at
The Pirates playing in Williams.
All right, welcome back to the third period. Now, we kind of have a little trend here on this episode, talking about, you don't hear anything about the ECHL that we talked about, because that's a league nobody ever really hears about in general. Nobody ever hears about lacrosse that much. So we're going to pick another league that doesn't get, to me, enough attention.
Well, that's because it doesn't exist anymore.
Well,
it folded 2 years ago, but it's okay to look back on it because I was a big fan of it, and I know you were a fan as well.
Oh, I loved watching it. Arena football.
I loved arena football. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Well, I'm saying that hopefully it gets enough attention that maybe they might bring it back. I mean,
arena football exists, just it's not the Arena Football League anymore. And we can get into that a little later. So the Arena Football League existed from 1987 to 2019. Ironically enough, 1987 was the same year that the league that is known as the National Lacrosse League started as well.
Coincidence?
So they both started in 1987. What I thought was really cool in researching this topic, and I didn't have to do a lot of research because I was already a fan, Jim Foster, the guy who created the Arena Football League, conceived the idea while watching an indoor soccer match in 1981 at Madison Square Garden. So he sat there watching indoor soccer, and he's like, how can we do indoor football?
Well, I found watching arena football interesting because if you miss a field goal, it bounces off the net. You can run it back. So it's almost like you get like a little extra, oomph to it.
I always thought the AFL specifically were really smart in how they tried to market it. I love that they called it the 50-yard war.
Because it is a smaller field.
It's half the size of a real football field.
Yeah. So, and just the way it was played was interesting because just how like certain players, like, in football now, you can't see a player like running from 20 yards back, full board up the field, and then right at the snap, keep going, like, to keep that momentum going.
Right.
Where in arena football you could.
Indoor football, arena football, whatever you want to call it, in general is a faster paced game. And man, those hits at the boards, well, they were padding, but those hits at the boards were always good to see.
Oh, still, I mean, I remember watching the one video on YouTube of arena football where as soon as the guy caught it, a fan reached over and grabbed him to hold him back. It's like, really? Because literally the fans were up at the padding, and there was no barrier to hold them back. Like how in hockey you have the glass, lacrosse you have the glass. There was nothing.
Right.
So they could reach out and, interact with the players.
Reach out and touch someone.
Pretty much.
What I thought was interesting with the AFL was they had two teams that were sponsored by companies. They had the New Jersey Red Dogs, which were sponsored by Red Dog Beer, and they had the Miami Hooters.
Go figure on that one. I wonder who sponsored them.
They had teams that were owned by bands and singers. They had the LA Kiss. They had the Las Vegas Outlaws. They were owned by
Philadelphia
Vince Neil.
Soul.
Bon Jovi.
Soul, yeah. And they won 3 titles.
You know how hyped I was to have a PA team to root for, finally?
Yeah, it's kind of odd to have a PA team that's actually, yay, we're good.
I thought a really interesting thing about the AFL was their test game that took place in 1986. the teams were made up of local college players.
Oh, there you go.
But I mean, let's think about it. You're testing out this game to see if it works. Why not use local college players?
Oh yeah, and and here's the thing though. Graduate college, okay, yeah, you're not going to make it, let's say you don't get drafted to the NFL, another avenue. Well, so like how many, I mean, I know this was a lot of episodes ago, but we talked about the XFL and then how that being like almost like
a feeder league, a developmental league.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's another one that, maybe hopefully this gets enough attention that they bring it back.
I thought, in all honesty, I thought
something.
the AFL was almost at that point because if I remember correctly, I think at one point the NFL bought into the AFL, not like a ton of money, but just enough. They purchased 49.9% interest in the AFL in 1999.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
And
that's interesting.
Jerry Jones owned the Dallas Desperados.
Shot.
That's why the Desperados had the star as part of their logo. So, I mean, there was NFL involvement, and the NFL doesn't normally get involved in other football leagues outside of when they bought the World League of American Football and renamed it NFL Europe.
No, I mean, I just hope that that there's a lot of people out there who want this back that maybe can start petitioning or start getting mainstream media or something. There's a lot of oars that can be set here,
right?
To really get this out, to really get this moving. Because let's say the Philadelphia Soul, 08, 16, and 17 for their league championships, 4 conference championships, 4 divisions, and 11 playoff appearances. I think that's not a bad,
I think what ultimately hurt the AFL was when their trademark ran out on the rules and idea of the sport. Once that became once that became public usage, I think that's what ultimately ended up hurting the league, because in 2009, their biggest rival started up. That's the Indoor Football League. They're still going. And then the Professional Indoor Football League started. The Ultimate Indoor Football League started. The National Arena League started. Like all these smaller, like the IFL is probably the closest rival in terms of people, like in terms of reach, right? But you have all these regional leagues, like I think the Harrisburg Stampede, who played out of the Farm Show Complex. I think they were in the Professional Indoor Football League.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these smaller ones playing in smaller arenas, diluting the fan bases.
I mean, yeah, well, that's just like anything. I mean, there's always, you're trying to keep one big league going, but yet there's a lot of small ones out there that's kind of like pulling away.
Right. But I think in the case of arena football, I think there's people like me and you who really enjoyed watching it, and bought the video games and stuff like that. But I think there's a lot of casual fans that maybe didn't know or didn't understand. And then, we're going to go see arena football, and it's actually an entirely different league. Like there just wasn't enough fans to really necessitate and support all these other leagues, and it just hurt it in the long run.
I just washed away.
But I thought, I mean, go ahead.
No, I just feel like this, arena football is one of those things to where, like I said, it was always fun to watch. Just the way the different rules were set up, the way the field was set up, the way some of the plays were set up that you could do, the way everything was. I mean, hell, for like in Tecmo Super Bowl, you could throw end zone to end zone. Well, this is the same way. I mean, if you can throw a 50-yard pass, then you can hit end zone to end zone.
I think, in looking at the AFL, I think their peak years were probably like 2000 to like 2006, because that's when they were on ESPN. That's when they were on ABC. That's when they had the games through EA Sports based on the Madden engine. I think that's really when they hit that next level, but they just couldn't sustain it money wise because in 2009 they didn't even play a season, and they came back in 2010. Like there's almost always been money issues with that league before it officially folded.
And you would think though, like if you have like let's say Bon Jovi involved, you have all these other rock stars involved, you would think money would not be to keep people there, because think about it. You go, let's say, how many people love to go to a to a Bon Jovi concert? How many people would love to go to a Kiss concert? Well, if you have a team,
I've been to a few.
well, still, I mean, you're a fan of a specific music group that owns a football team. What makes you not want to go to support that band to possibly see them? Just watching a game, hey, can I get a picture? Can I get an autograph? You know that's probably happened too. But just to be there in that atmosphere with them, because they probably played their music constantly. So It's almost like going to a concert.
Actually, one of the cool things about I'm not even saying this as a Kiss fan. One of the cool things about the LA Kiss was it led to the reality show about the team being created. So you got to see clips of the tryouts. You got to see clips of this, clips of that. And it gave you, like, for me as a fan of arena football, it gave me like a really good insight watching the show. Like what it
behind the scenes.
Right. And I appreciated watching that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, watching anything behind the scenes sports related with that type of stuff, I find fascinating on what the organization has to go through to get these players in than what the players have to go through to make the team. That I do find that fascinating just with any sport, whether it be hockey, football, baseball, because you don't know. An average fan does not know what somebody goes through.
Right. But I thought it was it was a really interesting look into how an arena football team comes together from scratch.
Oh yeah, it's definitely interesting. Well, like you just said, it's a good behind the scenes thing.
And it's a shame now that it doesn't exist. And
yeah, like I said, it should get more attention because it was a fun league to watch.
Yeah,
but unfortunately, like you said.
And now, in regards to their rival promotion, Jesus, you can see I talk about wrestling a lot. In regards to their rival league, the IFL actually has three former AFL teams in it. The Arizona Rattlers are now in the IFL. The Iowa Barnstormers are in the IFL, and the Spokane Shocker in the IFL.
Shocker.
No teams in Pennsylvania yet.
Oh, darn.
But they're probably, since the AFL folded, they're probably the biggest indoor football league going at this point.
I would imagine. Well, like you said, what competition do they really have now?
Right. It's a shame. The AFL was a really good product, and kind of wish it was still around.
Oh, yeah, I would love to see them around just because of how much fun it was to watch. I mean, the IFL, the inaugural season was 2009. They have I just brought out their Wikipedia here. Let's see here. Where's it at? Just technical difficulties. Let me call tech support. Oh, wait.
In your line of work, you are tech support.
Right? The Iowa Barnstormers.
That was the team that Kurt Warner played for in the Arena League before he became an NFL quarterback for the St. Louis Rams at the time.
Massachusetts Pirates. San Diego Strike Force. Tucson Sugar Skulls.
Oh well, Sugar
Okay, now
Skulls are the Day of the Dead face, the skull
yeah,
face from the Day of the Dead.
that's actually not a bad logo. Actually interesting. As the Tucson Sugar Skulls and as the skull with like a sombrero and like
Yeah.
it's like its hands out holding within the words. Not a bad looking logo. The future team is the Columbus Wild Dogs. Founded in 2019 and it's joining in 2023.
But that's actually pretty smart. It gives them time to
Build.
get the proper foundation in place
yeah.
financially to grow upon. And I think that was always a problem, unfortunately, with the Arena Football League. I mean, you look at their past teams on sportslogos.net, and you're scrolling down at least 3 pages worth of teams. Some that lasted for a season, some that lasted for 2. There just wasn't enough, I think, stability as far as teams that in the league that would last.
Yeah, looking at the map of where all the teams are, you have Massachusetts, then the closest one to it is Michigan. Or no, that's not Michigan. What is that state? Why am I drawing a blank? Wisconsin. That's it, Wisconsin. So that's the closest team to Massachusetts is Wisconsin. So there's a lot of gap. There's no the East Coast Southern teams.
Right.
Closest Southern teams is Texas. So they're all more like on the west, like I don't know, central U.S. to southwest, is where all the teams are.
Yeah.
For the IFL. But no, who knows? Who knows if they may do this in mainstream, the IFL. They may add more teams that were in the AFL at one point to bring them back.
It would be, I mean, the Arena Football League, I think, was never truly appreciated. And it's a shame because I think it was just overall a really fun league to watch.
Oh, absolutely. It was a fun league to watch. I mean, just anytime you throw, that type of football in it, I thought it was always good.
I did too. I always enjoyed watching it. So maybe, the IFL can catch on, get a TV deal with maybe
ESPN.
Like everybody else is going FS1, to. You never know.
Hell, ESPN's like gobbling everybody up.
It'd be cool to see some arena football style football. That's redundant. Arena style football played on TV again.
Oh yeah, definitely would be fun. Now, looking at the IFL here, on May 11th, 2021, I'm reading this right from the IFL Wikipedia. The IFL announced that Bill Foley and the Las Vegas Golden Knights had purchased a 2022 expansion to be based in the Las Vegas Valley. And that was the Vegas Nighthawks. And I just saw that here.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's the Dollar Loan Center in Henderson, Nevada, is where they're playing. Now that has me curious on what their logo looks. Looks like a basic logo. It has Vegas Nighthawks with like a hawk underneath it, like a golden hawk.
Gotcha.
Nothing really like graphic like the Sugar Skulls. So, on that note, that'd be the end of the third period. Hey, at least we got to talk about different episodes, different leagues, different
This third period
areas of
literally
sports.
happened just because I was thinking about the AFL video games this week. So I'm not even going to
Hey,
lie
I
to
mean,
anyone. They were fun games.
yeah, not just fun games, but fun to watch. And like you said, and hey, why not?
Well,
You know,
another one in the books. I cannot wait. Literally cannot wait to find out who listened to this show the earliest and first to have us hit that milestone. I'm excited. We're doing a contest. First time
oh
we're
yeah.
doing it in the history of the show.
I'm just curious of what time. Because what time do you normally post this? So so this is going to be interesting to see.
I'd say the last 5 episodes I've posted for like a 12:30 or 1:30 a.m. Sunday posting.
Okay, so this is going to be interesting to see how close to that we hit.
And I would say by most Sunday mornings, by 9 or 10, we have X amount of listeners by that point. And it's pretty much been the same amount every week by that point. So I'm curious to find out who's going to be the winner. And we'll have to announce it on the show, obviously.
Oh, of course. But yeah, no, I'm just curious to see like the closest to that time. To see like as soon as it hits, let's say 2 a.m, like, oh wow. But who knows? That could happen. For all we know.
Someone could be coming home from a good evening out. Now, who am I kidding? Our age range is millennials and older millennials and young Gen Xers. So more than likely, they're waking up and having to go to the bathroom. Or their kids are waking them up and they can't go back to sleep. So
right. Well, that never happens.
Yeah. With that said, you can find me every Wednesday with Brad from Baseball Together on the Punk Popcast. We go over the different artists, albums, and songs from the world of pop punk music, and you can find us everywhere you get your podcasts. It's not in the show notes, but Tori and I just recorded the final episode of the season for the Philly Baseball Together pod. I don't know if that's posted yet. I have not checked. I know we just put it up for edit by Brad on Tuesday, so it may not be available just yet, but it should be dropping shortly if it isn't. We kind of go over the end of the season, if we think Harper's going to get the MVP, and we actually ended up talking about every team in Philly at some point in this episode. So we didn't really stick to just baseball on this one. So with that, thank you for joining us for episode 32 of the Not Another Sports podcast. You can find us online at facebook.com/notanothersportspod, Twitter at Not Another Sport 1, Instagram at NASPod20, TikTok at NASPod20, and you can find us on YouTube. Also, our link tree will be in the show description and on the YouTube page, so you can always go there to find where you can find us on social media. Please feel free to like, comment, message us, reach out. In this case, we want you to tell us when you listen to the show on our Facebook page.
Right.
The Not Another Sports podcast. Oh, go ahead. What, David?
I was going to say the merchandise link is going to be on the description in the YouTube channel, the podcast description.
And I'll throw it on the link tree as well. You can find the Not Another Sports podcast for streaming and download at anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and Facebook now, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. With that, I'm Jason.
I'm David.
We'll talk with you next time.
Have a good one.